Hello and welcome to the Pastry Food Company. My name is Damien and today I'm going to show you how to make a beautiful free-form fruit tart, a plum crostata. Now this recipe is a favourite of ours and we make it a lot because it's so simple and requires very little equipment. We're going to start by making the pastry first. In my container here I have plain flour, sugar and a pinch of salt. Unsalted butter. Now this butter has been in the freezer for about half an hour just to firm up so it's nice and cold. 1 egg and a tablespoon of cold water. We'll start by preparing the egg with my water. Now the reason that everything is so cold is this is a food processor recipe. Works at high rotation, so we want to make sure that everything's cold so the butter doesn't melt. We'll whisk that in like so. And now my food processor. Please excuse the size of it here. We are a commercial kitchen, so things are done on a slightly bigger scale. So into the food processor with my flour, sugar and salt. And then in with my cold butter. Great thing about this recipe, it happens in seconds. And on we go. So we're just processing the flour and sugar and salt and butter till it's to a fine crumb, and then we're going to add in our egg and water, and just enough to bring it together. Get rid of the machine. And you can see in here that the pastry is still a little loose and just coming together. And that's important because you never want to overwork pastry. I'm going to finish it off and bring it together onto the bench. And like I said, this is a fairly soft pastry because of the high butter content, which makes a beautiful rich pastry at the end, but makes it a little more delicate to work with here. So the idea of having it cold and keeping it cold throughout the process is really important, okay? So I'm just going to make sure that the pastry has come together and you can see how soft it is. Okay, and that's all we need to do. Okay, I'm going to take my cling film. On like so. And now I'm just going to, with the cling film on top, press it into a nice oval. That way it's ready for rolling after it's been rested. Okay, so this now is going to go into the fridge for at least 1 hour, and that's really important because we want to get that butter nice and firm again, which is going to help when we go through the rolling process. Just tidy myself up a little bit. Now here is a piece of pastry that I made a little earlier on today. This has been in the fridge for a little while and I brought it out for about 20 minutes so you can see that it's now gotten a little more malleable, okay? So a little softer to work with here. Now this is quite a soft pastry, so it's important when we roll it, we're going to roll it onto baking paper. So then it's ready to go to the tub. We'll take a little bit of flour, onto it like so, and then onto the top as well. Take my rolling pin here, we're going to roll from the inside out. Okay, just nice and gently If you find that the pastry is cracking when you roll, just turn it around 90 degrees and start rolling the other way. Okay, and just gently. We don't have to force it, it'll roll out nice and easily. Until we have a beautiful flat disc. Now, you can see here with this disc that it's not perfectly round, and as I said right at the start, this is a really rusty tart, so it doesn't need to be perfectly round. I'll just pop that aside for a second, and if you find, by the way, that that pastry is really soft and it's getting a little hard to work with, just pop it back into the fridge for a little bit, allow it to firm up again. Let's have a look at the fruit. Now, we're using blood plums today, but this is the beauty of this tart. Once you have that pastry recipe down packed, you can add any fruit you like. So stone fruit like nectarines and plums and peaches and those sorts of things. It could be rhubarb, it could be strawberries, it can be finely sliced pears, whatever you feel like. The beauty of this thing is that being able to use fruit in season when it's abundant and full of flavour. So here I've prepared my plum by cutting it into wedges, and I'm just going to take a bit of coarse sugar. I'm using a demerara sugar today, and I'm just going to sprinkle like so, and then give all of that fruit a lovely toss. Okay, so my pastry that I've rolled out here before, I'm going to start to assemble the fruit on top. Now, as I said before I do this is a free-form tart, so you need to be able to leave a collar of 3 or 4 centimetres all the way around, because the sides of this here are going to be folded in. We'll just pop our fruit on like so. So you can see how simple this is so far. Now, all we need to do is start to fold the pastry up and pleat it as we go. So we'll just fold it up like so, and then we're going to start to fold the edges around. You can see here that I've just put a small hole in the pastry. It doesn't matter, it's a rusty tart. And that then forms the wall of the tart. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to cut this paper like so. And then I'm just going to slide it onto my tray. Like so. Now, this is really important. This needs to rest again, okay? Because this pastry's been out for a while, it's starting to warm and soften. And what we don't want it to do when it hits the oven is to collapse and start to drain or drip off the fruit here. So pop it back into the fridge for half an hour or so, allow that pastry to firm up. And once that's done, we're simply going to take an egg wash. We're going to paint the sides, like so. And then taking more of that demerara sugar, it could be a raw sugar if you like. We're going to sprinkle the sides. And now that's ready to go into the oven. This cooks in an oven at 200 degrees Celsius, so a fairly warm oven. What that does is it helps to set the pastry, and then it will start to cook. And that'll cook for about 40 minutes or so. Fan force, just drop it down by 20 degrees. It's going to cook for 40 minutes, like I said, but if you find that it's colouring too quickly before the rest of the pastry is cooked, just bring that temperature down by 20 degrees or so in the oven, and then cook on for a little longer. And when you know it's done, is because the bottom of the pastry has taken on some colour and it's nice and crisp. So that is the tart before it goes in the oven. And here's one that was baked earlier and has come out of the oven. So you can see similar shape and size, that beautiful golden pastry, and then the wonderfully cooked fruit. And that there is our Plum Crostata, our free-form fruit tart. As I said, this recipe is available on our website. Please visit us there at the Parker Street Food Company, and we'll look forward to sharing another recipe with you soon.